Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Tim Lee. I'm a research analyst at Red Cloud Securities. I'm delighted to host a Red Cloud webinar on gold and vanadium today. We will hear from Paul Cowley, President and CEO of Phenom Resources. During today's webinar, he will provide an overview and outlook. Then we will take questions. You can type your questions into the chat box at any time, and we will get to as many as we can. Before we kick things off, first we need to discuss the fine print. During this Phenom webinar, forward-looking statements may be made. I would direct listeners to the company's forward-looking statements outlined on page 2 of Phenom's corporate presentation that can be found on the company's website, phenomresources.com. For Red Cloud Securities, Inc., I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only. It should not be considered a solicitation or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. We note that this call does not consider the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigation and seek their own professional advice before investing. And please see our most recent research located on the Red Cloud website for specific disclosures on Phenom. So I will start off with a couple of comments about some general themes related to today's presentation. First, on vanadium. Vanadium is used primarily in the steel industry, but it also has a growing use in batteries, particularly larger fixed battery systems for storing grid power. Much like other commodities in the space, the vanadium price performed very well since early 2020, although there's been a little bit of a pullback since the summer here. Overall, this is a growing space as we look for alternatives for power storage in an increasingly electric world. Meanwhile, on the gold side, there's a theme of digging deeper for gold exploration targets in Nevada. There's been a lot of work on the exploration work done in the state, and much of the near surface targets have been kind of worked over. Thus, we're increasingly seeing companies focus on buried targets. With this comes an increasing reliance on geophysical tools to help guide drilling in the search for these deeper deposits. So with that said, we have Phenom presenting today. Phenom's flagship is its Carlin project in Nevada. Project is a bit unusual in that it hosts a substantial vanadium resource near surface with a Carlin-type gold target beneath. With that, I now turn it over to Paul Cowley to update our audience on the company.
For tuning in. As I mentioned, this is the first time we've been presenting as Phenom Resources under our new name to reflect multi-commodity approach. And Phenom, for those that aren't familiar with that name, means a person of outstanding quality and skills and talents, especially as an up-and-comer. So I think it's very applicable for our group and our project. We've been very, very busy over the summer here, and I'm sure everyone is interested in hearing something, updates of some kind. I will proceed with the presentation. For those that are not familiar yet with Phenom, we are a focused group of explorers in Nevada. It's a top-tier jurisdiction for safety and quality, great infrastructure, and we've got a very unique situation on having two types of systems on the same property. It's a double play, large scale Carlin gold system underneath a vanadium resource. And that vanadium resource is North America's largest, highest grade primary vanadium resource, which we've been focused on for about 3 we're focused on right now. Mention that another thing that makes us very unique is the strength of management and strength of team. I've mentioned this before, but it just cannot be mentioned enough that professional engineers and geologists with very, very 40 to 50 years experience with major mining companies and industry experience, all in their own disciplines, right from exploration to building mines and operating mines. You just don't get that kind of and in terms of our gold search, you have 2 geologists that have found 10 gold deposits in their career, which is, again, another exceptional situation, puts us head and shoulders above many of our competitors. Our focus has been on the gold more recently in the last year, and all being guided by someone that is very, very well respected in the industry, Dave Matheson. We'll speak a little bit more about him, of course, a lot about him. And our longer term goal is to come back to the vanadium at the right time. I'm going to move on to the next slide. This diversity of having these two metals in the same property is one of our strengths. We have a vanadium resource, as I mentioned. It's at PEA level, backbone of our company, with is very, very significant. And I haven't really spoken much about the vanadium. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it today because there's some new context. But literally $3.4 billion of metal in the ground under current prices, and we've got this gold opportunity that we're very, very actively exploring on. That's underneath the vanadium resource that everybody's pretty excited about. I'm going to talk a little bit about the vanadium side because there's some really, really interesting new developments in that space that obviously affects the value of our vanadium asset, and that is vanadium prices over the last virtually doubled. From the $5 range to $10. It's come back down to $9, which is very, very important. We're only $1.50 away from our economic viability from our PEA. Some of the other things that are important is, this is a strategic metal the U.S. doesn't have. I think the real future for vanadium is in the battery storage, the green energy space, which is growing. Markets are growing in that respect. And all it takes, with the number of solar and wind farms that could deploy these vanadium batteries, one or two projects can consume 10% of vanadium, global annual vanadium production. So they have a major impact on the demand and metal price increase. Another important thing that's happened is that two of the vanadium producers, Largo and Bushveld, they're producers, but they've also developed a battery production line and arm. So they're marketing that product, and they have the ability then, with all the cost structure, right from a production to selling the vanadium, a much better marketing opportunity of getting these batteries into these big projects. And another, probably the most significant thing, new development, is there's a Japanese company that's developed a solid-state vanadium battery that has applications for EV batteries. This is an enormous opportunity, and this battery is lightweight. It can recharge in 6 minutes and have 600-kilometer range. So this is an extraordinary opportunity. This Japanese company actually came to our property in search for vanadium sources around the world. So we're talking with them. They're also talking to European car manufacturers who are very interested in their new battery. This is potentially a revolutionary marketing opportunity for vanadium. So I wanted to bring those contexts in because it has a very significant impact. We have a very, very good vanadium resource and a very good future in that respect. We'll be a part of that deployment of the vanadium redox flow batteries in solar and wind, potentially in the EV battery, which was an extraordinary market. And also to mention that in our project, our operating cost estimation is at around the $5 per pound basis versus the current price at $9 a pound. And it shows that we are a very competitive opportunity here moving forward. Now, talking a little bit more about the company, this is an update. We've got 75 million shares outstanding, $3.5 million in the kitty. But the most important thing is to show this share performance. We've just been doing so well in the market. In the last 18 months, we've been up 400%. Reflects and our competitors in that same time frame have been 30 to 50% down. So I mean, we're definitely an exception to the case here, and it really reflects the quality of the people, quality of our project, and our delivering. particularly in this gold search. So really, really important to show that we're standing out here. Now shifting to the gold search, I'm sure everyone is wanting to hear a little bit more about it. I have to kind of go through these steps of introducing things for those that aren't familiar. But we're in elephant country here. We're in Nevada, and we're in the best producing trend in Nevada, in the Carlin Trend. This is elephant country, and we're right in the right jurisdiction to be there. And this jurisdiction, or in this trend, will continue to deliver extraordinary opportunities, not only for the majors but also for the juniors that are willing to take the exploration opportunities and make discoveries. And there'll be premiums that benefit these juniors that take the risk and move forward. A little bit about where we are between Salt Lake City and Reno. I've talked about this before. We've got an amazing infrastructure there. You can see where our project is relative to the communities of Carlin and Elko, which are very steeped in mining, and Gold Quarry, which is only 13 miles away. That's Newmont's past producer, which is a 50 million ounce gold deposit or mine been produced from it. So amazing infrastructure and geological proximity to so much. Can't understate that, because there's so many projects that are far-flung in remote areas. This has so much benefit there. And also the benefit, I've mentioned this before, we've got 2 geologists that have found 10 deposits. And Dave Matheson, as I've mentioned before, he's an authority on the trend, vigorously exploring in this trend. He knows the system, these systems, made a number of deposit discoveries in the Carlin Trend. And this is in a way, we're in elephant country, but we've got elephant guns. I would say that Dave Matheson is basically an elephant gun in hunting for these elephants. And another elephant gun that we have is our wonderful shareholder base and our financial backing going forward here. So we're exceptionally advantaged. Here's a picture of Dave. He's made some fantastic contributions to Newmont over the last 3 decades in finding finding deposits, finding extensions of deposits, literally tens of millions of ounces. That he's been a part of that team, but he's also found deposits on his own with or through Newmont in our area to the south, in the southern part of the trend. 5 million ounces of gold, 6 types of these deposits. So you say he's an extraordinary, an extraordinary explorer, and one of the best explorers that I've personally met and known. And we've talking about the area. This is a newer map because it's been updated, and I want to be able to talk a little bit about this because it gives really good context again in our exploration. On the left-hand side is the southern part of Carlin. I'm going to use this opportunity to highlight some areas here. You've got in the area here 9 million ounces of gold that have been used, that are in our vicinity. Gold Standard Ventures in there. We are located in this area right in here. So this may be a little bit difficult, but at least it helps to point out. What we are looking at is our property position here that's following along a north-south structure that is part of the plumbing system. You can see over in this area here a very similar geophysical signature on our property that is associated with these types of deposits. Want to point out where we've been drilling is on this main set of claims, but I also want to point out this new tract of land that we picked up right over here. This is what we call the Section 22. In here is Newmont Barrick. We've basically sandwiched them with our land position. Now we have 3 of 4 square miles of this north-south trend. Sorry, my cursor's a little bit off. This north-south trend. Another really important factor here separates out on the east side these deposits that are in the railroad rain district from the east side, or from the west side over on this side. This stratigraphy on our property is shared with the bulk of the large-scale Carlin trends further up. And this is a very, very important distinction, having proven that we've got Rodeo Creek and Popovich stratigraphy on our ground, which is not found on this side, except it's much, much lower. These are so this is a very, very important distinction, that we are in the right set of rocks that host these big deposits. And that's why we can say we're analogous to deposits like that we're searching for, like gold quarry. I'm going to move a little bit faster here, just so that we can move. Oops, sorry, I'm just going to take this off. The mentioned before, these deposits systems are very subtly exposed on surface, and that's why they're not found that easily. And nothing's been found here. We discovered this system that hadn't been discovered for 20, 30 years, just because of people that really know the systems, like Dave, and we're able to look at these subtle surface expressions of the system to know that there's something below there. And we do have that, and Dave interpreted that, and we've been successful in actually discovering this gold system. I'm going to move a little bit further along. Showed this slide before. We have on this side here this chargeability anomaly that we've come to realize with our drilling that this is in here. The IP is definitely, from our drilling, we've proven that the IP is a direct a result of high sulfide. So this is the system that you see here. And obviously this is the model that we're going after, with a master structure coming through here. The vanadium resource is up in here, and we have to get through this upper rock and drill into this big system here. I hope this is working out in showing our strategies and whatnot. So I'm going to move along a little bit further. This is looking down on the main claims, the Carlin claims, and I want to point out this is the big system here that we're focused in on at the moment. We can see more system down in here, and we know that the master structure that's not showing up here. It's coming through, is right through here. So, and continuing on to the north. As I say, we've been focused on our drilling right in this part right here. We've done 5 holes. We're as we announced in our news release just yesterday, that we've encountered a number of very, very positive looking features, the long stretches of sulfide mineralization, alteration, brecciation, all things that Dave has found drilling phase, because this is a big system, and we need to get enough holes in here to get a proper vectoring towards the hotspots. Basically, the hotspots are going to be the high grade within the system. We're also very, very keen on heading north. Immediately north is the Newmont ground, but a mile further on is our section 22 that has an expression of the same fault, the same strength of, in fact, even stronger IP responses that would indicate a stronger sulfide content. We're going to be going up there. But I'm going to I'm just going to move back and here and spotting some holes, or putting some holes in. That way we're sandwiching that Newmont Barrick ground, and so we're very, very keen on doing that. This is a progressive exploration stage on an exceptionally good target in the right kind of rocks in the right jurisdiction that hosts elephant, what we're seeing so far.